Good morning and welcome to the HR Congress podcast. In today's episode, we are joined by Peter Daels and Jef Vandenberghe of Induce.me to discuss the value and contemporary importance of building an innovation dream team, the difference between creativity and innovation, and much more. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Induce.me, sponsors of the Digital HR Innovation Week and the Strategic Employee Experience Virtual Summit. My name is Ben Churchhouse, and today I'm joined by Peter Daels, the Managing Director of Induce.me. Peter holds a Master in Applied Economics from the University of Leuven and has worked for over 10 years in the maritime and logistics industry before acquiring a market research company. During this period, he studied the behaviour of customers and employees in a B2B environment before joining Induce.me. I'm also joined by Jef Vandenberghe, founding partner and shareholder of Induce.me. Jef has been working in the innovation and consulting industry for over 10 years. He has witnessed innovation success and failure, and intrigued by the human side of innovation, he co-founded Induce.me. So Peter, Jef, thank you for joining me today. Let's start off. Could you please explain a little bit more about Induce.me?
Thank you, Ben. My name is Peter Daels. I'm serving as the managing director of Induce.me. And what Induce.me actually is doing is mapping the innovation skills of people in an objective and scientifically proven manner. What makes Induce.me unique is, in fact, that it's an objective assessment and not based on a self-assessment of a person, but it's really an objective assessment. And it has been developed together with the University of Ghent, with Professor Anseel. Actually quantifies, makes it objective what your workforce, what your people are worth on innovation skills. What are the necessary innovation skills that they bring to the table? That's let us say, in brief, what Induce.me is doing.
So I wanted to expand a little bit more about some of the innovation skills that you spoke about in your presentation at the event last week, and obviously what you've just mentioned here. I think you mentioned in your presentation that there were 20 main innovation skills. Obviously, we don't really have time to go into huge detail over all of them, but could you please identify for us what some of these main skills are, perhaps the top ones that you are looking for, and a little bit more about how you actually identify them and their value in the workplace?
When we went with our questions to the University of Ghent and Professor Anseel and his department, the basic question we wanted an answer on was, are some people more innovative than others? And basically, for us, it was a rhetorical question because we knew the answer already, that yes, some people are more innovative than others. We really wanted to know what was out there and what already been researched, and actually we wanted to understand and also do something with it, because we want to accelerate innovation, we want to make innovation faster and more efficient. And so we said, well, how does it come that some people are more innovative than others? And actually the research started with some competences. I think it was about 50 to 60 competences that people had to bring to the table or that were investigated, and if we could link them with innovation. And in the end, we came up with 20 competences, behaviors from people. And I will explain some of them. It's like being curious, being able, for instance, to judge the resources. Having analytical capacity to see, okay, what do I need to bring to make this creative idea, to transform this creative idea into innovation. It is also about being communicative, the implementer, for instance, and we have actually grouped the competences into basically three main profiles, which is the ideator, who is a more creative person, who is capable of recognizing problems and issues to be resolved, challenges to be resolved, but also already generate the answer to it, and then actually make a choice on which idea are we going to work as a company. That is the more creative person, of course, and well known by people, the ideator. Then you have people that are actually building a story, creating support in an organization. And those are all kind of skills that people need. And that is, let us say, grouped under what we call the champion. That's the second basic profile. And the champion is most of the times is the most forgotten competence or profile in an innovation team. Because he creates support, he creates a story, he is also the one that is going to look for the resources in order to go to the implementation of an idea in an organization, but he's also going for the approval. So he's also obtaining approval for a certain idea. The third major profile is what we call then the implementer, and that's typically the more project. It's the implementation of an idea into a product, service, business model, process that creates value for the organization, because that's what innovation also distinguishes from creativity. And that's all, let us say, grouped under the implementation or implementer profile. And there you have to have good communication skills. That's somebody that can organize already the building of a prototype, but is also doing project management, making sure that the idea is implemented and let us say leading to innovation that creates value for the organization. So those are, let us say, in a nutshell, and grouped under those three basic profiles and some of the competences that you need in innovation.
I'd be interested to hear more from you about how you objectively measure and observe something like curiosity, which seems to be a rather subjective, at least to my uneducated opinion, subjective trait. How do you actually scientifically measure something like curiosity or communication skill, for instance?
That's a good question. So first of all, there I need to explain a little bit how Induce.me works. First of all, it's a situational judgment test, meaning that it's not based on what you prefer, but it's based on your knowledge or what you know. And in the research, there was the three main profiles that have to be present in an innovation team. We actually validated the theoretical model, but also in practice. So how did we do that? We selected 50 experts, innovation experts, people that are, let us say, on a daily basis working in innovation, on innovation projects and in innovation department. We call them the innovation experts, and we use them to validate the model. So actually what we did, we had quite extensive interviews with those people, and we were, let us say, we identified we defined 15 cases, situations that need to be resolved by the person who is taking the test. And in those cases, you have, for instance, the element of creativity that is part of it, and this is one of the skills that you have to use in order to resolve the situation, to deblock the situation that is actually. What we did in the, let us say, the practical research, or the practical side of the research, is that we were looking to, we built a mind map. So by interviewing those experts, those innovation experts, we actually, we simulated how innovation experts think, reason, and act. So that's the mind map that we did, and actually then we quantified how they are resolving those particular situations. And this is how we, let us say, by then offering answering pairs per situation. And the situation is about 10 to 15 answering options that you have to judge yourself which option is the best, leading to the best innovative result. Is it option A or is it option B? The capability that you have in selecting the option that is leading to the best result is giving you is adding to your score on the. So how do we do that then? Is that we option A and option B, we work with contrast values from -5 to +5. And if you're able or capable on selecting the -5 or the +5 versus the -5, that's an easy one. You don't get a lot of points. But if you have, for instance, an answering pair where the contrast value is +4 and +5, yeah, that's a very little difference leading to a better innovative result, then you get a lot of points. And this is actually how we come up with a score that we can compare them to a benchmark, to those reference group of experts, how they result. So it's a very, let us say, difficult subject. We did analytical research combined with validation in practice with how innovation experts, how they actually think and how they resolve that situation. And we actually test the person that is doing Induce.me by proposing him 10 to 15 answering pairs where he needs to select the right or the option that is leading to the best innovative result. And the better or the more he is capable of selecting the right option from the two, the more points he gets. And this is how we objectify the strengths on the different competences that actually builds.
One of the things I'd be interested in discussing with you a little bit more, you mentioned in your presentation that one of the focuses of your organization is to help build innovation dream teams, to use your words. Can you firstly explain a little bit more about what you mean by innovation dream team? And also, who gets to, or who should decide about firstly building in an organization perspective, who should decide about building an innovation dream team, and ultimately who is responsible for that team?
First of all, what did we learn from the research? That is that, first of all, innovation is crucial, but it's complex. And what we've seen is that in the research, what we learned from the research is that the magic happens when the three profiles are represented in an innovation team. Because what we actually want to do is we want to help the customers of Induce.me to accelerate their innovation. Let us say, build on the capability of companies to accelerate their innovation capacity, making it faster and more efficient. And so the transformation from a creative idea into a product, new product, process, service that creates value for the company, well, we really want to help them to accelerate this. And what we learned and what we see through the research is that the magic happens when the three basic profiles are present in the team. And if they are present, not just in a sequence, but present at all times. So from the start until the end. That's something we learned, and that's also why we say, well, you can build your innovation dream team. Because today, innovation teams, how are members selected for innovation teams? Based on what? And most of the times it's because, we say, well, that's a creative guy. We were going to put him in the team because he is creative. Also experience. Somebody has a lot of experience in a certain process and a certain product in a certain field, industry, you name it. And then they have a talk with that person, and he's selected to be on the innovation team of a company, if they already have an innovation team. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's a subjective, selection criteria. There's nothing wrong with that. But what Induce.me does is that we add also an objective criteria to it. And we actually map the level of innovation skills of people. And we also see what kind of profile they are, so that we know after the test who you have on your team, what kind of profiles you have, how well developed their profile is already, so that we can actually select the best people available in your organization already today, and let us say unleash the innovation potential of those people and within the teams. And so that's a very important element that we add to the and it's complementary to the subjective way of selecting. And that's also, I think, important, an important element that induced on me. It makes the subjective objective as well. Yeah, that's one thing. Then you ask me who should be responsible for, let us say, putting an innovation team together, and then who should be the one leading it. Well, first of all, everything starts, and it's also information that was confirmed in the survey that was organized just before the Digital HR Innovation Summit, is that innovation, one of the big challenges for innovation is let us say, the vision and the strategy that has to be present inside an organization. That's really one of the enablers for success as well, to make innovation really successful within the company, is that having a strategy, having a vision on what you expect, what innovation is and will have to be for your organization is very important. But that's the what. What do we want to be on innovation? But then, of course, people make the difference. Yeah. And people make the difference because, and that's the reason why we went to the University of Ghent. Why are some people more innovative than others? This is where Induce.me really brings or gives an answer. And then, yeah, the decision to go for an innovation team or a dedicated innovation team, install a dedicated innovation team within the company, most of the times is taken by the decision makers or the final decision makers in an organization. So that's really on C-level. Most of the times you see that the HR directors will be in charge of organizing the Induce.me assessment. And that's quite logic, because you're still dealing with, you will receive confidential information about people. So it really needs to be handled and also needs to be organized in a, let us say, confidential manner. And then, of course, who is going to lead such an organization after you decided that you're going to install one, that you will have one, that you will use one, that you will select the people. Then you can also use the results of Induce.me and actually see who has been labeled, if I can say it like this, or who has been nominated being an innovation master. An innovation master is a person that is excellent in ideation, excellent in championing, and also excellent in implementing. Yeah, and this is the ideal person to actually coach an innovation dream team. So this is basically all that information on who is going to lead or who is going to be in charge of. This is also one of the results you can expect.
Can I add something here, Peter?
Of course.
Okay. Just from an innovation point of view, it is a fact that the organizations today are not built to innovate. They are built to be efficient and to be productive. And innovation really needs different skills and competencies if you want to go to innovation successes. And organizations don't know what competencies they need. And this is also the answer that we have with Induce.me, is to give them the possibility to know what competences they need and then to actually discover what they already have in-house, as Peter already mentioned. The second thing is, if you ask me, who can actually decide or make sure that the dream teams are composed? Without Induce.me, nobody, because it's scientifically proved that we are biased in judging and evaluating ourselves. So we are always surrounding us with people that think alike, that are like mini-me's. It's like driving a car. If you join somebody in a car and he drives similarly like you think it's a good driver. But at the end, you should do an objective test to know who is the best driver. So we see this a lot, and there's a lot of scientific articles about it, is that managers do have the tendency to surround themselves by mini-me's and people nodding yes. And in innovation, this is not going to be successful. So you really need to know in an objective manner what the competencies are, and then put the different complementary skills together.
So I want to talk a little bit more about building innovation potential. What are some things that individuals can do to build their innovative potential? And then perhaps how does this interact or impact the way that organizations can build their potential?
Well, first of all, since Induce.me is an objective test, if you don't do anything to develop your skills, you will end up with the same results as the first test. So how can you develop that? Yeah, it's of course by being active in innovation. It's also experience dealing with certain situation in order to come to an innovative result. But one of the findings of the research also is that you can develop, you can train the skills, the competences that are, let us say, that you use for innovation and that you need for innovation. So this also leads us to a second element or a second phase within Induce.me, and this is that we also developed a training tool. So that you, with the assessment as it is today in the market, you can map your potential. Later on, and I'm talking about Horizon 2021, next year, we will also be able to, let us say, train and develop innovation skills. We've done, together with the University of Ghent, extensive research on developing the training tool. It took us about 3 years of research in order to define that training. This year, we are looking to put it into the market, or next year to bring it to the market in a form of gamification. So we will actually set up a business or develop a business game in which participants will train their innovation skills based again on situations that have been developed together with the University of Ghent and the innovation experts on a daily basis working in innovation projects. And contrary to the assessments where you make your choice, you say this is option A is the best one, so you resolve the situations and you get a result at the end. In the training tool, you will get immediate feedback. And based on an iterative process and repeating each time, you will start recognizing the situations that needs to be resolved, but also the how you can resolve them. So by giving that immediate coaching by the tool, you start improving on your innovation skills, because this is something we really also learned, is that it helps to have talent, of course, but you don't have to be born with innovative skills. So you can actually develop yourself and make yourself, let us say, also from an innovative perspective, a better professional.
I want to switch the focus now a little bit more back towards HR. What would you like HR professionals, particularly HR leaders, to know about building innovative teams or building innovative potential in their employees?
Well, what I would like that they learn or that they know is, first of all, that there is a tool that is capable of mapping the innovation skills of people in an objective way. And that's, let us say, opposite to the self-assessments, where we are not, we as humans, we are not so good at evaluating ourselves. So there is an objective tool out there to map the innovation skills of the people that you have on board. What is the opportunity there for HR leaders is that they will also be able to define a personal growth trajectory, a growth plan for each individual employee, also on innovation if they want that. If they want to offer a personal development plan for employees on innovation. So that's one element that I would like them to know and to learn. Secondly, what I also would like them to know is that really by installing an innovation, a dedicated innovation team, where the three basic profiles are, let us say, are present from start to finish, is that they will be a very important, HR will play, first of all, a very important role in accelerating the innovation capabilities of their company. And actually, why do companies want to excel in innovation? Is because they want to become the leader in the market, differentiate themselves from the competition, and be a stronger company in the long term. So those are, let us say, some key findings that I would like the HR leaders to learn what Induce.me brings to the table.
And on the topic of the training tool, I was reading on your website a little bit about it, but I think it's probably obviously a great time to ask you how it actually works and how it can obviously help people and organizations to build their potential.
Yeah, well, first of all, the training tool will add most value if you have already done the Induce.me assessment, knowing, let us say, the starting point. And it's our belief that if you focus on your strengths, that you have the potential to become excellent. If you work only on your opportunities for growth, and we don't say that you don't have to develop them, but if you would only concentrate on them, then you're going to leave your real potential on innovation. Let's say you will leave it unused. Secondly, it's like a business game. Yeah. So the people that is actually following the training or has subscribed to the training and the training platform, he will step into the business in a business game, and he will be presented some situations to be resolved. And it's just by getting the, let's say, immediate feedback on the choices that he or she makes in order to resolve a specific situation, that he is going to first start to recognize the real situation that needs to be resolved, but also starts to recognize what are the best available options in order to resolve that situation. And it's an iterative, repetitive process that actually we will develop those innovation skills that have been identified as maybe already well developed, but not good enough to go to the next level in the innovation assessment or in your innovation profile. Secondly, is also where you have weak points, and let's say becoming an innovation master is that you can develop simultaneously different skills in order to get to the next level and bring value not just for the individual, but also to your employer.
Okay, wonderful. I want to talk just briefly about one of maybe the elephant in the room, so to speak, which is, of course, the COVID-19 situation at the moment. Of course, I'm wary of talking about it too much because it's been mentioned ad nauseum. We're all very much aware of what's going on. But social distancing, remote work, this sort of shift in the way that we are organizing work, how do you see this impacting innovation within organizations?
From an innovation point of view, again, I think it's a wake-up call for a lot of companies. So they realize they haven't been that innovative as they should have been with their products and their services. So those who are going to survive this economic crisis are fully aware of the fact that they will need to innovate. So from the Creax point of view, so Creax is the mother company of Induce.me, we use a simple philosophy, and that's solutions change, but the need and the functions stay the same. So to explain it very clearly, like wireless communication has been around for ages. The Indians used smoke signals. Now we have a smartphone. To give an example, 15 years ago, we had an international airline company that came to us for advice. And we advised them at that time to invest in online meeting platforms, because we said the function is to meet each other. And 50% of their flights are business flights. So at that point, they laughed at us. I think nowadays they will remember us. And that's exactly the point, the wake up I would say that the companies have today the fear of innovate or die. You need to be ready for the future. And an external factor like COVID makes it a necessity. You cannot, you don't have the option not to change. You need to embrace online platforms. You need to embrace other ways of working. It's the same like in a war situation. Most innovations are realized in war. It's a wake-up call, and I hope all the companies realize that innovation is not an option. It's a necessity if you want to survive on the long term. So this is more on the innovation part. I think the working environment, Peter has another or a different opinion, or a complementary opinion.
Yes, thank you, Jef. Yeah, first of all, with COVID-19, we hear and see it everywhere, and we're talking about the new normal. This is not going to go away. I think, in the contrary, we're going to have to adapt to it. Secondly, a lot of companies at this moment, and who are we to blame them? It's logic and it's normal, but at this moment, for too many companies, I think the focus is really on the short term, is on the operations, is on keeping all the let us say like the magician on the scene, and keeping all the plates up in the air, and that's understandable. Yeah? It's really, it's also, I think it's not logic, but it's also normal, and that the focus is there. Is really surviving now, getting everything in place in order to keep the operations up and running. But like Jef said, innovation is not an option. It's going to be innovate or die. And this is really something I really want to also bring to the table here and bring up, is that a lot of companies need to really be aware is that they mix up creativity with innovation. And you already see this happening from the very beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, is that people are getting very creative, and they are getting, in order to resolve certain situations, to be better. And some will be very easy to implement, some others will be very difficult and very complex to work. And the bigger the organization, the more complex and the more consequences those creative ideas might have. So don't mess up, or don't, let us say, don't think because you're creative that you're, as a company, that you're innovative, because innovation starts from creativity. That's where we also say that people are central, having a central role, or playing a central role in innovation, because it's still today people that are generating ideas. And ideas and creative ideas is the start of innovation. But innovation really is transforming that creative idea into value for the organization, that differentiate yourself from your competitor, that give you advantage on the market. Yeah, and that's where it wasn't me. It's Steve Jobs who actually made this quote. He says, "Innovation distinguishes between leaders and followers." And don't mess up, or don't mix up creativity with innovation, because creativity is just one of the phases to come to innovative solutions, products, business models.
I think that's a very salient point, and you've described it quite well. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. How can people learn more about Induce.me, what you guys do, your products, services, and obviously if anyone wants to reach out and contact you, how can they do so?
Of course, the easiest, since we are in all of our products and solutions are available online. You can find us on our website. It's very simple, www.induce.me, and you're in our world. There is a free demo for people that really want to have a taste and say, well, I really would like to know how a situational judgment test resolving one of those cases, how does it work, how is it presented online. So it's available, it's free, it's simply going on the website and free demo. You can actually get the first flavor of the assessment. And then of course you can actually contact us through the website, let us say on getting more information about budget, pricing, way we work, the results that you that you receive after each test, and that is available also for the company, the administrator company that has ordered or decided to use Induce. That's also available. Because we offered last week in the Digital HR Innovation Summit, we offered a discount of 25% on all orders received by using the promotional code, which will be available on the website as well. But we will extend that till the end of June.